Today on Shop Nation, we start the lower cabinets. In this episode, we're just going to build the carcasses of the cabinets, but we're going to go through exactly why I'm doing it and how I'm doing it. There are really two unique factors of the cabinets that I'm going to build. First is that I'm going to be using leveling feet instead of shims. Now the slope of my floor is not so drastic where this doesn't make sense. Across all 14 feet of cabinets, it only drops about 1/2 inch. If you have a more drastic slope, as some garages may or may not have, you might want to build a platform on which your cabinets sit, taking into account that slope. I actually just saw a video of the Wood Whisperer who put together cabinets using this method. Go check it out if you're interested. The second unique thing is that I'm going to incorporate, you guessed it, dust collection. So in a very similar way that I incorporated dust collection into the workbench, I'm going to incorporate dust collection into the lower cabinets, but on a smaller scale. I'm going to be using a 5 horsepower shop vac with a cyclone separator, going to 3 dust ports throughout the table. One for the miter saw, one for a sanding station, and one for whatever I want. So with those two considerations in mind, I drew up some plans. Basic layout of the cabinet, 4 rows of drawers. I'm doing all drawers. I'm not a big fan of the doors in lower cabinets. 2-ply of MDF as a top, and then you can see dust collection is going to exist in this area here. I've got my dimensions of the rough shape of the cabinets that I need to build. I've laid out a cut sheet. I can get 3 out of these out of 1 sheet, and then use these long sections for stringers that go along the top and back of the cabinet itself. All right, let's do it. What do you know, back at the table saw. Here I'm roughing out the first of the panels based on my cut sheets. For this, I'm using a circular saw and a crosscut guide. Then I clean it up on the table saw. I don't quite trust my abilities to get extremely square pieces using my circular saw, so this is the option I elected to take. Every cabinet section is going to look like this. There's going to be 7 of them. Good news is that all 7 are identical, so that makes it easy. You can see we'll have a toe relief in the bottom. You can see the leveling feet placed here. Cutouts for the long stringers that go all the way down the length of each cabinet. And you can see this is roughly where the dust collection is going to fit. That part will be fit in place once we get to that step. There is a unique kind of piece of trim at the bottom of the wall around my garage, so I have to accommodate that in the design. I had to first establish the exact placement and size of the cutouts. You'll notice that I'm using an Incra T-rule for these layouts. Super useful, and I'll link it in the description if you're interested. You can see by using a combination of a square and the T-rule, I'm able to get very accurate and precise cut lines. Then it was just a matter of cutting them out with a jigsaw. If you had a large enough bandsaw, you could do many of these cuts with that. I just chose to do them all with a jigsaw. A quick test fit of the panel against the wall verifies that my cutouts are correct. Now on to ripping the long stringers which secure all of the cabinet panels together. Now my particular design uses 3 different sizes. There's not a specific reason for this, it's just what I thought made sense for my build. I'm assembling this cabinet with glue and screws, so I needed to lay out and countersink the stringers at all of the mounting points. So I can now move on to assembly, and I'll be the first to admit this is not the best method. But I got it to work. At each intersection of the stringer and the panel, I pre-drilled through the countersunk holes. Once you get a couple of locations screwed together, the assembly gets a little bit easier to deal with. Take your time and make sure everything stays reasonably square. It will all get pulled into square as the remaining stringers are added. On this first go around, I tried adding the center panel last. This actually made the assembly process harder, so I would suggest doing them all at once, like I did with the second cabinet. The last step was to add the leveling feet. These particular ones are from Amazon, I will include the links below, and have an individual capacity of 500 pounds. Way more than I'll ever need. Simply butt up the bracket along the bottom of the cabinet and secure in place with 4 screws. Finally, time to level. They make adjustment very easy. You can see the top hex cavity in the thread and then a stop nut underneath. The feet actually swivel, so they'll contour to any uneven spots on the floor as well. Start at the highest point of the floor and work your way down along the cabinets, making sure that it's level in both directions. Alright, that's going to wrap up this video. Hopefully you found what I did interesting and useful. I tried to show as much detail as I could. Now there are many ways to build cabinets. This is just one of them. I tried to show a way that I thought would be easy to do, and it turns out it actually was. Now leveling the cabinet was a challenge because there are 14 individual leveling feet among the entire cabinet, but we got there, no big deal. In the next video, we're going to be integrating the dust collection system that's going to service the miter saw, a sanding station, and then one auxiliary outlet. If you enjoyed the video, give me a like. If you're new here, please subscribe. It's at this point I like to give the subscriber update. Now it's been a while since I released a video. It's been about a month and a half. But in between that video and this video, we've gained almost 5,000 subscribers. We're just over 17,000 at this time. Now that number is always going to surprise me. What it does is validate that what I'm doing is useful, and that's important. So until next time, keep pursuing shop greatness. See ya.